there, planner friends, and welcome to a reflection on this past week, which was the second week I've been participating in One Book July. Not much has changed to my overall setup, at least in here. This is still my planner, still the only planner I'm using, still my favorite pen, at least the one that I'm keeping at all times, with my Traveler's Notebook, or rather Foxy Fix TN. And I do take this everywhere because it still serves as my wallet as well as my planner and just overall happy place. But this week, this is kind of where the cracks in the system started to show up. So right off the bat, if you've seen my reflection on the first week, I had been DIYing it up. I made myself a little planner pocket dashboard dealie to go around my main insert, which is my planner insert, and I wound up taking that out because I didn't really like the way it looked. I mean, it's beautiful, it just wasn't me. So I decided this needs to remain a happy place and only contain the things I like. And so it's better to have this cover the first thing that greets me rather than that floral pockety thing. So I just put my post-its back here instead. The other biggest thing was that I used a layout that didn't really work for me. So this was my layout for the second week of this challenge, and it's interesting how a really disappointing layout can correlate and lead to a really disappointing week. I don't know, I find that's been my experience in the past. However, this one was an easy workaround because I knew next week things would be different. I knew the week previously things were different, and I liked it. So I wasn't too bogged down or mired by the unproductfulness of this crappy spread. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's really my style. It's just the hourly was counterintuitive to my type of productivity I find. So that sucked. Now, if we go back to my goals for One Book of July, it was to do a no spend. It was to use stuff I have. It was to keep it to one book. Now, One Book July has no rules. I just put those limitations on myself because I figured I needed them in order to truly explore or get down to the bare bones of what actually works for me, because I felt super lost. I mean, we were 6 months into the year, or 6 months had passed, and I had changed my planner pretty much every 3 weeks or so. So this has been a very tumultuous planner season for me, and I was very unhappy with that. So the first week in here was perfect. It was wonderful because, I don't know, I just loved everything in here. I loved having my journal and my creative writing stuff. Everything that was in here I really liked. However, I was kind of in denial a little bit because not everything is super happy all the time, especially my creative process. I have a lot of issues with perfectionism and anxiety and feeling like I'm not doing enough or I'm not putting out my best effort, and usually that translates into me just like not putting 100% of myself in anything ever. And with this super happy place setup where this was the only book I was using, I was kind of just adding to that denial. That was my dog, I'm sorry. She's a toy breed and sometimes they have palate issues. I'm so sorry. She's fine though. But anyways, so I needed to kind of own up to the things that were holding me back. And I didn't feel like my art journal area was the place to do that. And I also didn't want to get rid of my art journal either, nor did I want to incorporate another insert in here that would be all honest all the time journaling. That did not seem like a great idea. So I went back to the journal I had been keeping for about 6 months, really the only consistent thing in my whole notebook setup this year, and that is this Hobonichi Techo in my Rowena Foxy Fix A6. And I did a video on this. It was a Harry Potter sort of themed because I got it with the red strap, or this is not the color red, yellow strap. I bought a little charm that just reminded me of, you know, owls and lovely Harry Potter things. And I had been using a fountain pen in there for the past, sorry, it's good. I've been using a fountain pen in there for the past 3 months or so, I'd say, and I really love this pen. It's the Pilot Kakuno. I know it's for children, but I have small hands, and it's the most comfortable writing experience I've had. It goes through ink like a mother, though, but that'll come back around in this discussion. Anyways, in my intro to One Book July, I was saying how I really didn't like the Hobonichi I was in, and that's because I switched to a cover, to the actual Hobonichi branded cover, because I thought it was more summery. I also thought it was, you know, professionally made, I don't know, mass-produced. I had illusions on that item. And I was kind of putting down my own efforts at making my unique Harry Potter style notebook. And I was honest with myself and realized, no, I did a damn fine job on this notebook. I really actually love it. I need to revisit this. So I did do some mending to it. I put some clear packaging tape along the sides. I added some decorative Harry Potter washi, just to tamp things down a little bit because it was coming up. I also switched out from a Muji notebook that I didn't really enjoy writing in to this Life Vermilion notebook, and I put in my stickers in this Hobonichi thing again. But I decided I needed to be, this was the space I could devote to actually being honest, to actually not trying to lie myself into comfort, I guess, as I had been doing for a little bit. So this has worked out really nicely. And this addition to my system, probably a week and a half ago, I would have seen as a failure. But to me, this is like I've come to a mental health breakthrough of sorts, where to get better, you don't have to necessarily ignore what happened in the past. You just need to acknowledge it as a stepping stone along your way. Yes, I'm dissolving into really bad metaphors and similes. I apologize, but yeah, this is where I mainly talk about writing. I'm writing about my own writing in here. How silly is that? But it's true. Once I broke through that wall of being honest with myself and acknowledging my past failures or chances where I could have performed better and I chose not to out of fear. Once I did that, it was really cathartic to kind of write about my experience for that day in my field. in my writing field, where I talked about, hey, this really worked, this didn't, I feel like I wasn't really capturing this character. Why wasn't I? Was I too afraid to go into the mind of this character because it mirrored too similarly with my own? Or was it something else completely? And this has been really fun to do that. So I like it. I'm glad I'm back in here, and this to me is just a happy place. And I think that was the whole main goal for me to undertake One Book July. I say it was to find a simpler planning style, or to kind of get back to basics or something like that. But in all honesty, it was probably to find a system that didn't impede my own progress, that was actually more working for me than me working for it. And essentially, I just wanted it to be an ally in my goal of happiness. And this thing makes me happy. Reflecting on my writing, reflecting on my anxiety issues, that makes me happy, as odd as it sounds. My DIY projects make me happy, so that's why this Harry Potter themed Foxy fix is still a happy place for me, as opposed to the Hobonichi cover, which was not a happy place for me because I didn't feel like I had anything invested in it. I didn't devote any time customizing it, nor did I want to, because it's its own marvel of simplicity on its own. And brings me back to this place. This place is a happy place for me because I find that it's not so much simple planning that makes me happy, it's putting myself in my planning that makes me happy. And honestly, these are really simple. I think this plan with me has been my shortest video to date. It was maybe 6 minutes. This one was a little bit longer. It was nearly double that, but it's because I took my time and purposely spent a little bit on it because I wanted to try using 2 different inks on a stamp or something like that. So just recognizing what makes me happy and what's contributing to that in the realm of planning has been a journey. I talked about that this thing runs out of ink quite frequently. I purchased, at the time I bought this pen, not even knowing that I was going to like the system, I played it safe and bought a 12-pack of replacement ink. I am running out. I only have 1 left, and I've only had this pen for about 3 months. So I realized I needed to make a jet pens order here quick. So I broke my no spend for jet pens, and I purchased more ink. I purchased a converter actually so I can use more economical ink. And I'm not gonna lie, I also bought those pastel mild liners, and I bought some more inks for my style fit. And I know the no spend was a restriction I placed on myself. It's not affiliated with One Book July in any way, shape, or form because, you know, One Book July has no rules. But I still kind of felt bad that I did that. But really, I just shifted my mind on shifted my rationale for why I was undergoing that no spend in the first place. I tend to purchase things to make me happy. Yeah, there's some utility in some of the stuff I have purchased in the past, but generally I participate in retail therapy. And once I realized that that was the root of my purchases, once I embraced that just a little bit more, or was a little more critical of that concept, then I realized the no spend was just not a feasible goal, but not necessarily the best undertaking for me. I needed to rethink why I spend my money on the things I spend it on. And instead of impulsively buying things because I feel like it will produce an outcome within myself that will be desirable to me. I decided that I need to just probably analyze my purchasing a little bit more. So I bought those inks, I bought those pens because I wanted them, not because I have a theory of the person I will be once I have these items, not because I have placed any other mythical aspirational qualities to these purchases like I have in the past. But no, because I wanted them, because they serve a function for me here in the now, in the person that I am now. Which sounds silly, but that's what's going on in my head. So I bought that. I also bought a chic sparrow. If we go back to my movie ticket, whoops. So realizations and stuff, that was Wednesday when I made all these crazy realizations that the things that made me happy I had been denying myself. You'd see I've been kind of obsessing. I had been obsessing over that chic sparrow, and a sale came up, and I know sales are very few and far between, especially in the particular leather that I was interested in. So I bought it, but I bought it for a pocket size because I have a lot of field notes that I do utilize, and I wanted a place to house them securely. So I don't think it will ever leave my house. I just wanted a place to compile all my materials. And I got a great deal on it, and it wasn't an impulsive purchase, I guess. The sale was impulsive. It was more, again, I'm not foisting these huge expectations onto my purchases like I have in the past. Like, I've purchased things thinking, with this one pencil, I will be more productive in math. I will do better in a math class. I want this pencil because of the person I will become once I use it. Silly and nonsensical as that is, it has propelled me to buy a lot of things I don't need. So just changing my rationale and being honest with myself and stating I want this chic sparrow because I have a use for it as I am right now, that's a big step. So yeah, I fell off my no spend, but to me it's not so much a failure as it is a breakthrough once again. So, you know, heading into week 3, I feel a lot better about my system than I did Wednesday of week 2, because Wednesday is about the time when it all fell apart. So I think this One Book July challenge to myself has really shifted, and now I am acknowledging that the whole underlying reason for me undertaking this challenge was to be happy with the system I've created. And I realize what makes me happy, and being happy is when I feel more productive and I feel more open and let my creative juices flow a little bit, especially when it comes to writing, because I've been very productive with my creative writing since Wednesday. So I just need to continue doing what I do that makes me happy, and that is DIYing, even when it's as basic as my spread here, or even the week previously, or the week before that. Just me putting in a little effort when I know I can do something like this is enough to make me feel better. I'm happy when I'm writing, and that is creative writing. So writing short stories or character bios or something, just thinking these, well, what I think are unique situations and people, and just writing about them, that makes me happy. Pens make me happy. Yes, getting into the very shallow end of the spectrum, but they do. When a pen works, it just puts a oomph in my step and I'm carried away into doing whatever I need to do. When a pen doesn't work, I don't know, it just feels like that much more work to actually put my efforts through, if that makes any sense. I'm not being the most eloquent at this moment. But I'm also happy when I'm doodling. So like Wednesday when I drew my Rowena Foxy Fix Hobonichi cover, that made me happy, as silly stupid as that was. And above all else, I'm happy when I'm actually spending time with my husband and my cat and my dog. And in order to spend time with them, I need to simplify my planning style. So if I just essentially set it and forget it, do this Sunday night, never have to actually add to it or feel like it's incomplete somehow, and just revisit it because I want to revisit it, I want to check things off, I want to write what is making me happy this week, or I want to fill in this tracker, that will make me happy. But as I've done in the past with like Filofaxes, or even in my KikiK, I keep revisiting weeks and weeks because I try to tinker with what I've already done, feeling like it's incomplete, feeling like I could have done more. And that's not the right way to go about things, and it kind of puts the people I love on the back burner almost. So, who knew it would get this deep in my reflection for week 3 of One Book July, where I essentially added another book. I mean, it was a book that existed already, and it's just been a process, I guess, and I feel a lot better than I did when I entered this challenge. So I hope everything's going well with you guys. I've been watching a lot of One Book July videos, and I absolutely love the content that I'm seeing. It's all different. We all have different motivations, but I think there's one thing we can agree with, and that is planning should make us happy. We shouldn't be doing this if it doesn't. So I hope your weeks go by just as easy breezy as they should, and I look forward to seeing more videos, and I'll just see you here again real soon. Thanks.